Hello again, my name is Ryan Thomas, and today I'd like to talk about why protons have a positive charge and why electrons have a negative charge. So if you've seen my other videos, you know that I have made a discovery which I call spatial matter. Spatial matter is responsible for the supporting of all cosmological objects, the planets, the moons, stars, everything that you see in the vacuum of space is prevented from falling downward by material that is of a lower density and lower solidness, lower level of solidness that is actually, actually weighs more because there's more of it. So it is supporting the weight of all of the cosmological objects. The same stuff is responsible for the rotation of cosmological objects on an axis and the orbiting of the planets around the sun and all orbits that occur in the vacuum of space. So it also is responsible for gravity. Spatial matter gets displaced by the solid objects, and so it wraps around these objects, trying to get back to where it was at the core, and that's why we are tethered to the surface of the Earth. So that is what spatial matter is doing. It's responsible for most of the phenomena that occur that we see with regards to the forces that are being applied to the cosmological objects and causing them to do things. The other thing that spatial matter did was it condensed and made energy. But first, I'll explain what spatial matter is and how it came to be. So in the beginning, there was the empty vacuum of space. And the vacuum of space condensed, and when it condensed, it became charged material. At first, it was just a thin layer of charged material, maybe lower than a 6/1000th of a gram per cubic centimeter, something that's ridiculously low. But it was filling up with charged material, and then as this stuff condenses more and more, it gets pretty thick in the vacuum of space, and now it is very likely all the way up to about a millionth of a gram per cubic centimeter. So after it fills up the vacuum of space with this charged material of a low density and low solidness, the spatial matter then condenses further and becomes energy. So the spatial matter very likely became bits that were not of the same charge. There are very likely bits that were both positive and negatively charged as we understand these things. And the reason that is because when things condense, there's at least two forces that are in play. There's going to be a downward pressing force or a falling force, and then there's going to be an upward resisting force that is preventing itself from falling downward. These forces are the reason that the spatial matter is able to support the weight of the planets and the stars and the moons. But in the beginning, it's very likely that this material formed, through that very process. Downward pressing, emptiness in the vacuum of space, and then upward resisting emptiness in the vacuum of space, and it just naturally became charged material. Material that wanted to go downward, which was condensed space, a material that didn't want to go downward, but rather wanted to stay where it was, and so it resisted and became condensed space that was now resisting. So you have material now, because empty space is now condensed into material, you have material now that wants to go downward, and it's probably going to have one sort of energy because it's used to trying to do this, go downward, and then you have material that's been resisting for such a long time and doesn't want to go downward, so now it has an upward resisting force to it, and basically these are going to form the charges. So as this material forms, it becomes positive and negatively charged spatial matter, and it's going to form in layers. So you're going to have a layer that is maybe a 6/1000th of a gram per cubic centimeter. You're going to have a layer that's a quintillionth of a gram per cubic centimeter. You're going to have a layer that's a quadrillionth of a gram per cubic centimeter, all the way up to perhaps a peak density of about a millionth of a gram per cubic centimeter, or around there. So that's the spatial matter that's all around. That's what's keeping us tethered to the surface of the Earth. But this material is going to condense even further. But it's not going to condense into more of this spatial matter. It's in this new condensing, it's going to form into energy. And this is more complex and more dense charged material. So you have empty space, then you have spatial matter, and then you have energy. And this energy is now going to have the positive and negative charges, but it's going to be a lot more dense and a lot more complex. And in fact, at this point, it's going to evolve into sentient material and life itself, a lower density form of it, due to the way that the vacuum of space condensed and became layers of the spatial matter that then became layers of density with the energy. And so a lower level of density is going to evolve into life. And I explain that in my other videos. In fact, this life form is going to interact with these matrices, these energy particle matrices, and even though perhaps only one, energy particle evolved into an organism, that organism is going to interact with these energy particles and is going to form matter from them by separating these positive and negative charges that are inside of these energy particles by doing what? Probably creating a Big Bang sort of a thing and exploding them apart. And then the positive charges will combine and create protons, and the negative charges will combine and create electrons. And that's what's going to form into hydrogen atoms, and then the first star makes material that can then be used to create planets after the star explodes, and then other stars and things like that. So it is because of the spatial matter condensing in at least two noticeable ways, a downward pressing force and upward resisting force, that you have two very different charges. You have positive and negative charges. And that is why protons have a positive charge and why electrons have a negative charge to them. It is because of the way that charged material came about from a downward pressing force and an upward resisting force, causing at least two different charges to emerge. So that is why protons and electrons have differently charged material in them, and why they're actually of different layers of density. Believe it or not, our body, even the human body that you see and all the material that you see, has different layers of density to it because of the way the vacuum of space formed, or the way the charged material formed in the vacuum of space. So if you see my other videos, you can see the relevance of that, and that is why protons have positively charged material in them and electrons have negatively charged material. Again, my name is Ryan Thomas, and thank you very much. Bye.